up, YouTube? It's your girl Pimp back with another video, back with another Black Excellent video, as well as another 2A video. But before we get into the interview, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Well, you can thumbs it down if you want to as well. Make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you want to see or don't want to see. But without further ado, I really appreciate this interview. I've been trying to get this interview for a minute and I finally got it. Man, I got somebody special blessing the show today, Mr. 2A-N-LA. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh man, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I've been trying to get to you for the longest, and I finally got you.
Well, I'm glad we can make it happen.
Okay. Well, tell people about yourself. Well, of course, where you from? That's in the name. For people who don't know who you are, if they don't.
Sure. So, I my name is Alan Wright. My YouTube channel is 2A-N-LA. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Born, raised, and educated here. Live here my whole life. Started a YouTube channel about 3 years ago, right at the onset of COVID. I felt like at the time things were really crazy out here. I felt like I needed to kind of upgrade my gun game and pick up a new firearm. And I'm meticulous in terms of that kind of thing. I like to do a ton of research. So I went to YouTube and I really, that's the time I really discovered about the 2A community on YouTube. And so I started following all of these great gun tubers, finding out more and more, and being shut in for the majority of COVID. That's what really caught my attention. So ended up picking up one firearm, and then one led to another, to another. And now, my God, I probably have over 70 guns in my collection right now.
Oh wow. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Whew. So, like, what now was the pandemic the first time you ever picked up a gun, or what was your first experience with a
No.
gun?
So my dad is retired law enforcement. He taught
Okay.
me how to shoot when I was in elementary school, and I loved it. I really did. But then I discovered sports and girls, and I started, focusing on other areas. Ironically, it seems like there's these cycles. So that went down when I was young, and then right around the time that the Rodney King thing jumped off and it was kind of crazy out here, I bought another firearm. And then right around COVID, when things was crazy, it led to me getting another firearm. So I've been shooting on and off my whole life, but I wouldn't say I was passionate about it until about 3 years ago. That's when I really got the bug.
Man, only 3 years, because man, your videos are so. The reason why I love watching your content because they are very detailed. You can tell you put the research in it. Why is that so important for you to do?
I just want to know what I'm buying, and I try to do my homework on every firearm. I think maybe in the beginning, when I didn't have like the knowledge base that I have now, I was more, oh, this looks good, let me buy this, or this looks good, let me buy that. But I kind of have stepped that up, and if there isn't a reason to have it in my collection, if there isn't something that I find compelling about the gun, I won't buy it.
And that makes a lot of sense. Now, some people may call you a gun snob. But for you, I don't see it that way. I take it as a person who, like like you stated before, doing the research, making sure this gun fits you, and also, showing the quality, the difference between something from this price range to this price range, or if you do have a low price range, how you can upgrade it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of people love your content and where you're going with that. So, do you buy like low budget guns and more, or is it okay? I'm going for the high quality.
No, I think that's a great question. And so I mentioned I kind of started this journey about 3 years ago or so, right? So when I started, I couldn't fathom probably paying $4,000, $5,000 for a gun. Not that I couldn't afford to necessarily, but it was more so I didn't have an appreciation for the difference between a $500 gun and a $5,000 gun. Mm-hmm. But what I really wanted to do is I wanted to experience everything, right? So I started off with a Glock 19, a Glock 17, a Beretta PX4 Storm, a Springfield Armory 1911. Yeah. And what I tried to do with all these guns is really get the most out of them. I think a lot of people look at my guns and aesthetically they like, oh, your guns are really good looking. But for me, it's not just about aesthetics, it's about functionality. Yes, I do a lot of upgrades, but a lot of the upgrades that I do to my gun make the gun better. I put better barrels in them. I put better triggers in them. Mm-hmm. I do better internals in them. And yeah, I'll do some Cerakote work to make the gun look pretty. But believe me, all my guns run. They run.
I know that's right. Do you have a family? Are you married? Kids?
No, not married. Divorced. No kids. Mm-hmm. I got a couple of godchildren that keep me busy though.
Oh, I know. Same. I was like, well, I have them. I have a whole bunch of nieces and nephews and godkids.
Right.
You know, and I can take them home when I want to be bothered.
Exactly.
Now, do you get them engaged as far as firearms is concerned, or?
Yeah, they're starting to get interested in it. And so, you know, they see their dads show them my videos and they're like, oh, Uncle Al has all the cool guns. So they've been over a few times and I've taken them out to the range a couple of times.
Okay. Well, that's pretty awesome. So awesome. So living in California, yes, you know, which is one of the toughest gun laws, and now Illinois is trying to follow suit. You know, I noticed that you have a lot of guns. I'm like, wow, they really allow that in California? You know, how do you work around them gun laws?
Yeah, no, great question. So there's two separate things that kind of govern guns in California. If it's a handgun, then it's regulated by the California handgun roster. And basically the law says that you can only buy guns that are on the approved roster. The problem with the roster is they haven't updated it in pretty much a decade. So like the hot stuff on the California handgun roster is like a Gen 3 Glock 17. That's hot, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the only workaround to that is if you buy a gun private party from an individual, then it doesn't have to be on the handgun roster. So most of the high-end firearms that you see in my collection, I bought private party. Now, the downside to that is because people know you can't buy them unless you buy them private party, they charge 150, 200% of what the MSRP is, right? So what you have is a lot of law enforcement officers are not limited to the handgun roster. So they'll buy a gun, maybe they'll have it for a month or two, decide they don't want it, and then they'll sell it. Or maybe some of them even buy it to sell it, right? So I picked up a ton of guns that way.
Okay.
And on the flip side of it, if it's a long gun, there's no limitation to the long guns you can buy, except for the configuration that they're in. So that's why you'll see a lot of my guns either have that thin grip on them, or there'll be a fixed magazine or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay, and that makes sense. Cause I was definitely wondering. I'm like, wait a minute, them gun laws just as tough as our gun laws, and I can't get half of what he got. You know, as much as I want right now. You know, cause they in a limbo. Hopefully, this play out for the 2A community, but you know, a lot of people is basing these decisions off what's popular right now. I'm noticing, not based off facts, you know, research and data, you know. And then my whole thing too, I was talking to one of my aldermen. I'm like, you know, it's crazy because I can't protect myself, but the criminals can protect themselves all day.
Right.
They can have switches, they can have ARs, you know.
They don't care.
Yeah, and they don't care. But me, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Want to protect my home, my property, but I can't. I can, but with limited capacity.
Yeah,
How does
I
that help
think
me?
right. I think that, our gun laws are not, I think some gun laws make sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think most of those laws are on the books and have been on the books. My dad used to tell me a long time ago, son, you can't legislate crazy and you can't legislate criminals.
Absolutely.
Criminals are going to do whatever they want to do. If they're willing to go out and commit, multiple homicides and assaults and aggravated assault and assault with a deadly weapon and all that, you think they're worried about a gun possession charge? That's the least of their worries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if people have some kind of mental illness and are willing to go out and shoot up a school or something like that, they don't care about gun laws either. So
Mm-hmm.
the gun laws that people are putting in place, these politicians are trying to put in place, for the most part, to me, they're just window dressing. They're not going to do anything. All they do is make it harder for us to defend ourselves and defend our families.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, do you have other defenses besides firearms that you use?
Well, I try, I guess, for like home defense, I try to do all the things you're supposed to do. I try to have my home well lit. I have an alarm system. I usually always have some kind of knife on me in addition to a firearm. Um, I have, good locks and all that kind of stuff on all of my windows and doors. So I try to do what I can to make sure that I'm well equipped, whether I'm at home or in my cars or wherever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now that you have this, I guess we call this, fame on YouTube, how have you been receiving it?
You know what? I don't consider myself famous by any stretch, but it's funny. People in the gun community know who I am. So I've gone to do. I mentioned earlier that a lot of times I'll do these private party transfers where I'll buy a gun off of somebody, and then I'll walk up and we'll meet at an FFL, and they'll be like, "Oh, you look familiar. Where do I
Mm-hmm.
know you from?" Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, you're 2A-N-LA. And I get a lot of that from people at gun stores too who know me because they watch gun content, right? So that's always fun and nice, when people appreciate what you do. I mentioned to you when we're off camera that today I went out and did a range day with some of my subscribers, and they brought their kids out and stuff like that is great. That's the part where YouTube has kind of changed my
Mm-hmm.
life for the better, um, because I've been exposed to people like you and other people where absent guns, absent YouTube, I would never have the opportunity to meet them.
Absolutely. Oh man, and I love that you engage with the subscribers. I think that's so important because we wouldn't be here without them.
Facts. Facts.
So when certain people get certain levels, I feel some type of way when they kind of brush people off because it's like these are the people why you here. You
Yeah,
know, if
right.
they want a picture, they should be all in your business. Don't get me wrong, on your personal space. But hey, how hard is it to take a picture?
Right.
How hard is it to shake somebody's hand, say hello to somebody who watches you daily, faithfully?
Right.
So I definitely appreciate that about you because that definitely, from me coming on the fan side, that definitely makes my day. And that's why I like a regular meetup because
Right.
you see all these YouTubers that you watch literally for like you said, like the last 3-4 years,
Right.
and you see them in person, it's like we like family.
Exactly.
It's not even
Exactly.
though, oh, you famous, you got this many subscribers. It's really like family, and that's what I really appreciate about the 2A community, especially the Black 2A community. It's more like family than anything,
Exactly.
So I definitely appreciate that about you. So I like to ask this question to all my firearm owners: what was the first gun that you've ever fired?
The, the first gun I ever bought was a Davis Industries Chrome 380. And I got it from an Army surplus store like 20
Mm-hmm.
plus years ago. And it's still in my collection today. So I do a gun
Okay.
collection video once a year, and I break it up into two videos, one pistol collection and one long gun collection. But at
Mm-hmm.
the start of every pistol collection, I bring that gun out. I never sell it because it's a way for me to show people we all start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes people may look at my collection and be like, oh, it's so daunting, so many guns, so much money, or whatever. But it didn't happen overnight, right? It took me a while to build up to that. And so I always bring out that little chrome 380
Yeah.
that I bought 20 something years ago, because I feel like that's a good reminder to myself and to everybody that we all start somewhere and it's a process. And you got to enjoy every step along the process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what was the worst gun you ever had or shot?
Worst gun. It might be that Chrome 380. It might be that Chrome 380. I've since I started buying guns, I knock on wood, I haven't had any limits. Now I've had guns that are better than other guns, right? But in terms of having a gun where it's just an epic fail, I try to do my homework up front to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really had a gun that I would say is bad. The only gun I say that was bad is probably that Chrome 380 that I should have bought. I just didn't know any better.
Right. You just
So
saw
that's
it,
my
got
first
it.
and my worst. That's my first and my worst.
There you were. Okay. Now, what's your favorite?
If we're talking pistols, the Atlas Erebus is probably my most favorite pistol in my collection. It shoots the best. I got a lot of high-end guns. I think I have like 10, 20, 11 pistols right now. Mm-hmm. And out of those 10, the Atlas Erebus is by far the best shooting gun ever.
Yeah, because I saw the high ratings. I'm like, oh, he love that gun. he gotta love that gun because it got top ratings. It got fives. I'm like, okay, he loving this gun. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. So what's your EDC like? Or do you switch it out?
Yeah, it's a little rotation between three guns. I have a 6-hour P365 XL that I've hooked up. I use that one a lot. I have a Staccato C2 that I use a lot, and sometimes I'll carry my Walther PDP. Oh, so between those three.
I like the Walther PDP. A lot of people they don't like it, and I'm like, wow, I don't know, I like it. I like the way it fit in my hand. The recoil, yeah. But a lot of people don't like it, and I never understood that. But to each his own. Can't knock anybody.
I've done a lot to that gun to improve it. I've got an upgraded trigger, upgraded recoil system, obviously weapon light optic on it. So, but yeah, I love it. I love the PDP.
And your favorite long gun?
It's so hard. I got some good ones.
You do.
I'd say between my Tammera Tactical SIG MPX, that's the best pistol caliber carbine I've ever shot in my life.
Yes.
Between that, my Tammera Tactical V7 Harbinger chambered in 308, and I got a lever action Henry X model that I made, that I tacticaled out and all of that. Those are my three favorite. Out of those three, maybe the MPX is my favorite.
Okay. So you already got a lot of content out there. What can we see coming up in the channel?
A lot, so much stuff. I just did an interview. So a lot of people may not have heard of this company, but there's an AK manufacturer called Syndicates Defense Corp, and they're based out here in Southern California. So to have a gun manufacturer in Southern California is rare enough. But I went to their facility. They gave me a tour of the warehouse. I interviewed the owners. They also do training. They've got a shoot house where SWAT teams and stuff like that will come in and train. And so I did an interview with them, a pretty long one. So that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. I got a lot of new guns coming, so stay tuned. for that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff coming for sure, for sure.
I'm excited for that. Oh my goodness. And I'm glad you brought up training because it's a big division with that. Some people don't think it's necessary, some people think it's necessary. Where you stand on, being trained.
I think I think you have to be trained. Now, I'd be lying if I said I spend as much money on training as I do on guns.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the two are kind of separate. So there's collection, which is one part of what I do, and then there is protection. And if you are going to be a protector of yourself, your family, and others, then you need to train. And so I try to get out to shoot at least once a week. I try to dry fire at home a couple times a week. And I try to catch training classes when I can. I don't train as much as I should. And part of that is because of my channel. I have a pretty demanding day job that keeps me busy. And then to put out 2 videos every week without fail.
Yes.
And my videos are longer form, they're not short. So to put out 2 videos a week without fail, to edit and do all that takes a lot. It's different than doing like a live. Not that that's not hard work, it's just different. So to try to do all that and train is a challenge, but I make it a point to make sure that I do what I can.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people, who follow your channel and stuff like that, they so demanding. They want you to kick out videos. It's like, wait a minute, I still have a 9 to 5. I still got family duties, personal duties. I want to get some sleep at some point.
Right.
So I think they get spoiled.
Right.
And they just want you to keep kicking out content and keeping out content. It's like I'm trying, but I still got an everyday life to buy these firearms that you want me to review, or do this interview. We got to get on the same schedule. Because a lot of people's like, oh, Pimp, you've been missing. I'm like, well, I'm trying to get on the schedule as the people I'm trying to interview with. I can't move until I get to go. So I definitely understand. I definitely feel that. So I definitely appreciate the work that you're putting in. Man, and when I talk to my young men and my young Black women, I always tell them, hey, watch 2A-N-LA, watch Yoki, Regular Gun Guy, My Fly Family. You can watch the other counterparts of 2A, but I think it's really important for our community to know, hey, we can carry. Because a lot of them subconsciously don't think we can carry.
Right.
Because it's been in their mindset. Or if I have a gun, I'm gonna get pulled. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. For example, I work with a lot of youth, and when they turn 21, I always tell them, go get the carry conceal class, take the class, get legal, because what you got pulled over for, they didn't give you the ticket for the stop sign that you blew. They put you in jail because you had a gun that wasn't legal. Right. Now just imagine if you was legal.
Right.
They have to respect you and give you the ticket that was for.
No doubt. A Regular Gun Guy, who's also a YouTuber, tells a story about how when he was younger, he had went to this recording studio just to hang out with some friends, and one of the guys there had an AK, and everybody was like in awe of it. And he was so uninformed at the time that he thought this was some mystical, magical, impossible thing, not knowing that anybody could have one. All you had to do is go to the store and buy one and fill out the proper paperwork, right? And so I think that's a point well taken, that we really need to educate ourselves. And one of the things that I do, I think people who watch my channel, they're gun people for the most part. So a lot of times I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but I try to share my story and my knowledge that I've gleaned with everybody I run into that will listen to it, so that they have a better understanding.
And notice each other's different experience, because your experience in California is different from my experience here in Illinois, in Chicago.
Right.
So it may seem like you just being repetitive, but I learned something new from everybody's videos. Like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Oh, okay, I can change out this trigger. Oh, that makes sense for that. So honestly, you learn, even though you think you're preaching to the choir, people learn something new every day.
Well, good. I appreciate it.
So I appreciate that. Well, let the people know how they can reach you, how they can get the merch, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so if you go, the best way to start is go to YouTube and look up 2A-N-LA. And in every video in the description, there's a link to my website, there's a link to my store for all the merch. And yeah, I just appreciate everybody for watching. I appreciate you for having me on. And yeah, I got a lot of great dope content coming out in the next, 4 months or so. So keep your eyes out for that.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Well, YouTube, this is another excellent video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But we gotta go ahead and get up out of here. But before I leave again, make sure you subscribe to both our channels. Check us out, thumbs it up. Make sure you comment and all that great stuff. And like you said, get educated. Know your gun laws. Let's get legal out here, because man, nobody can protect you better than you can.
No doubt.
So you know what I'm saying? So on that note, I appreciate y'all, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.
All right. Peace.